Welcome back to our Hot Takes episode. Rejoining me are Chris Felico and Terry Cushman. We're going to read off some of the hot takes that we received from our loyal listeners. So, Chris, why don't you lead us off with your hot take?
Awesome. So I've got Dan Hondo Hannon here, and it says, my Red Sox hot take. Why can't the long-term Sox outfield be Anthony, Duran, and Abreu? Let Rafael be a super utility man or possibly deal him versus Abreu. And, it's interesting. I got to be honest. I'm kind of starting to think the same thing myself. I know Rafaela, we extended him long term. He theoretically is a part of the long term future and plan for this organization with the contract that he got. But let's all be honest, it's a very friendly contract that any or most teams can absorb. Um, and I look at the fact that he is a super utility man, and we were talking about it on the previous podcast. You can plug him anywhere, right? Like we could start thinking third base, shortstop, second base. But let's look at it. You got shortstop. Even if something happens to Story, you got Mayer right behind him at some point, right? You've got Campbell, long-term second baseman. Third base remains to be seen depending on what happens with Bregman. I think we all expect him to opt out. So maybe there's an opportunity there. But if not, the outfield's looking pretty full, boys. There is a good shot that if Abreu continues to emerge and solidify and cement his place in that outfield with his production, Rafaela might be the odd man out. What's your thoughts?
Terry.
So I mentioned on the last episode, Duran hits lefties okay. I mean, he's like a 260 career hitter against lefties. Not a lot of power there. The balls don't leave the yard, but he puts it in play, and he's very serviceable against the lefty starter. Roman Anthony, throughout the minors, hits lefties very well. So you can kind of go against conventional wisdom that you got to have a righty bat out there every day to balance out the lineup. And I kind of think you do. But you can make a solid case here that this could be one of those unique anomaly type outfield alignments where it's not all that critical to have a righty bat out there every day. Having said that, I really think the Red Sox need to make a bold trade at some point this season to get an impact righty bat. You've got Bregman for the season. He's probably going to opt out at this clip. And if he does, all you have is Campbell. And then Rafaela in supposedly a super utility role, which could happen. That could absolutely happen. He could do 1 or 2 games a week in the outfield, 1 or 2 in the infield. That's it. And then if injuries happen, that's his pathway to playing every day again. But I really want to see a bold move here. And I don't know if that's Abreu in that trade. Perhaps it's Duran. I don't know. But you've got the surplus to go get a righty bat. Maybe it has to be a 3-team trade. Maybe that's how it all works. But I just I still think it's a somewhat of a long shot that we're going to roll it out Duran, Abreu, and Anthony every day.
Yeah, I hear you on that one, and I'm curious with the so first off, want to say thank you, Hondo, for the hot take. I'll say this much: if Wilyer Abreu was better against lefties than Cedar Rafaela, I would see Rafaela as that person that would be that super utility guy. Because truth be told, of course, any team could absorb that contract. It's an incredibly team friendly contract. Every team could do that. But would they do that? Would the Red Sox be willing to move that? I don't know. Not right now. It just doesn't make sense. Anthony, to your point, better against lefties. It does make sense to have him in that lineup in the near future. I will be shocked if he's not here before July 1. But then again, like you said, there's got to be a bold move. And if the Red Sox have the ability of moving players for something good, I'm not going to say no if Wilyer Abreu can continue torching it. Are we going to sign him long term to be our everyday right fielder? Can you picture Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony as our 3 outfielders for the next 7 to 10 years? I don't know if I can. I think Wilyer is going to be the odd man out, and it's going to be to get that elite pitcher. You know, that was one of the names that we flirted. We talked about Wilyer Abreu, Tristan Casas, and a couple other pieces to try to get somebody like Logan Gilbert or George Kirby from Seattle, and both of them balked at that. If Wilyer Abreu keeps doing what he's doing, it's going to be really hard for another team to say, yeah, no, we don't, we're not interested in that. I think Wilyer, again, I think Wilyer will be the odd man out because he's going to have higher value than Cedar Rafaela, who other teams know is a utility guy first and foremost. Last year, I think he happened to be hitting in the right place at the right time, and that's why he had as many RBIs as he did. I don't anticipate him replicating that line this year unless everybody's getting on base in front of him on a regular basis. But he strikes out a lot, doesn't have the best plate discipline. And truth be told, I don't think that he's going to have as much value as Abreu in a move. So if you were to trade him as opposed to Abreu, then you have to deal with Abreu's long-term contract. If you trade Cedar Rafaela before you extend Abreu, you lose some leverage there. Now, if Roman Anthony comes up, you might gain a little bit of it back. Ideally, I think you're going to have to sign Abreu to a long-term deal if you're going to try to keep him. But I just don't see it being the case. I think he's going to want more money than what the Red Sox are willing to pay. Anything else you gents want to add? Yeah, T.
So I don't know if you guys saw it, but there is some major breaking news right now. Vladimir Guerrero has agreed to a $500 million deal for 14 years with the Blue Jays. So this will be super old news by the time it comes out on Tuesday. But getting back to Abreu, it's interesting that they haven't done an extension yet. Like, there's no talks of it. There's no rumblings of it. And even if you're not sure that he fits into your long term, you could still sign him to an extension, and that may make him even more valuable in a trade because he's got 5 years of control left, counting this year. And then you tack on maybe 2 options, just like Campbell did. Another team that's going to get Abreu for 7 years at a very cost-controlled amount of money, that could be attractive. Now, when I mentioned the 3-team deal here, here's what you do. You find your dance partner for Abreu, and you ask for stud prospects. Then you find your 3rd team who has that stud righty bat. It could be an established major leaguer, hopefully someone with at least 3 or 4 years of control. And then you deal those stud prospects to that team. It's probably not going to be a win now type team, but that's how you do it. That's your pathway to trading Abreu. But do we want to? I don't know. I still don't know where I stand on this. And there's been no indications that the Red Sox have been willing to trade him. There was no momentum on a trade this winter with Abreu. So I don't know. But I do want to see a bold move happen this year. I want to see Breslow do something out of left field. When Theo Epstein traded Manny Ramirez and we got Jason Bay, that was a phenomenal trade. Yeah, Bay wasn't quite what Manny was, but man, he was a big impact guy. And nobody saw that coming when it happened. Nobody saw it coming. I want to see something like that.
Yeah, no, but that was like an anomaly season, though. When Jason Bay did what he did, no one expected him to hit 35 homers, have 19 RBIs, 120 RBIs, and hit 270 or whatever. Like, he was never the same after that, because then he signed his big contract with New York and flamed out completely. Like, I don't feel like he did anything when he got there.
Well, we had him for the half season, and then he had 1 more year left, and he was a stud that year as well. So
yeah, it was insane.
I don't know. I just want to see something bold happen. We've got a major surplus here. Right. And maybe Duran's the guy you move. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say too. Is there's a lot of other variables here too, right? Like we've got Yoshida, we haven't even talked about, right? Like he's not going to play DH at this point. He's an outfielder, quote unquote. And I mean, Duran's not off to the hottest start. He had a good season last year, but like he's kind of been somewhat inconsistent over his career. But he is a spark plug to the engine that is the Red Sox offense, right? So I think he's a little bit less likely at this point. I could see a 3-team deal where it involves Yoshida, maybe a Rafaela, Casas, depending on, although that seems less likely now that Vladdy's off the market. Because how do you replace him? Maybe we just teach Abreu how to play first. How about that?
I don't know if I want to have that cannon of an arm playing first base.
Yeah.
I was saying it tongue in cheek. I was only.
Oh, okay.
We
I mean,
didn't even touch on the laser beam throw that he had to
Oh,
you guys haven't
gun
seen,
down
yeah,
Newbar.
it was amazing.
And
that was insane.
And it was a big play at the time because the game hadn't gotten out of hand yet, you know.
Oh, yeah,
and you
so
got
it was way up for grabs.
Wasn't it
you've got
6 to
Hunter
1,
Dobbins
Terry?
on the mound. What's that?
It was 6 to 1, wasn't it?
I don't think
No,
so.
I think that at that point it was 1-1. I want to say when, or maybe it definitely wasn't out of hand yet.
It was a close game, and we had Hunter Dobbins on the mound, so it was a big play at the time.
Maybe I'm crazy.
It might have been closer to 6-1, Charlie. But to be
No,
fair,
I don't.
6-1 at that time in the game, though, and I believe they had a couple of runners on and no
It was
out.
6 to 1. It was 6 to 1. It was 6 to 1 in the top of the third inning. There's one out, runner at first. They decided to take a chance, and they blew it. To me, I kind of felt like it was, I don't want to say over, but you're up 6 to 1 in the third inning. It's not over. You're right. But 6 to 1 against a team that, I mean, morale is down after you just blew the first, couple games. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Hell of a throw.
Oh my God, it was like an Ichiro throw. It was insane. When he did it, I just sat there, I was like, rewind. I want to see it again.
Bregman had to move his glove like 8 inches to make the tag. It was
incredible. Yeah, seriously. I'm watching it again.
So that maybe that's part of why Abreu is so coveted. I mean, he did win the Gold Glove, and I don't know. Good problems to have, like we said, but you're always in the pursuit of perfection, and just a little bit more balance in this lineup would be good.
Right on. That's going to bring us to our second hot take. Terry, that's you, good sir.
That is me. Yep. Oh, man. It just took me out of it. Hang on.
No, it's all good.
This one is going to be from Will Graham. And I got it now. And also another hot taker, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. I took a chance. I don't know how to say that name, but they both had very similar takes. I'm going to read Will's, though. Will said they're going to need bullpen help if they want to be a legit World Series contender. Don't trust Chapman and Liam and others as the season progresses. That's 1000% probably going to be the focus at the trade deadline, is getting an arm. I don't know, unless it's going to be Ryan Helsley. I mean, he will be on the market. I don't have his status up in front of me in terms of what he's got left. I want to say it's his walk year, or next year is his walk year. So it's not like a super long-term thing, but you're going to have to make an acquisition. And I don't know that it's going to be a stud reliever. It might be a mid-level guy that Breslow thinks, all right, if we add a cutter, or if we add this, or have him focus more on that, perhaps that's going to be the pathway. But I don't trust Chapman either. And I didn't mention it in the last show, but we saw Helsley not locating, and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, Chapman might do the same thing. He might walk the bases loaded. And I think a 10th inning situation, or any extra inning situation, is not ideal for a guy like Chapman to have a runner on. He needs a clean inning to hold it down. And, we've skated so far and it's worked out okay. Slayton has pitched very well, except for one outing. He got tattooed pretty good, but he did come out a couple games later, face that same Orioles lineup, and pitch very well the second time around. And then Whitlock, they seem content to have him in the multi-inning situation, and if it's working, fine. I do think Whitlock at present is our best reliever, but you absolutely do need to acquire another arm.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Terry. Although interestingly enough, Chapman has come in with bases loaded and with someone already on second, and has fared pretty well. But to your point, even he has walked people, and that is his MO. He will walk the bases loaded, even with a clean slate. I think Whitlock, it remains to be seen, right, coming off injury, how long and how well he's going to fare throughout a whole season. I don't know what to expect there. Slayton, I haven't seen enough to be 100% confident that if we went onto a deep playoff run, that he's going to be the guy. And it's funny, in the last show, when you did mention that Helsley would be a potential trade candidate, I was thinking the same thing in my head, that like I could see the Sox, depending on how the first half goes and what our record is, targeting someone like him, if we're really expecting to go on a deep playoff run. I do believe his contract, it is a walk year. I do think he signed a 1-year extension for 2025, if my memory serves correct. So I think it's a great take. It's an accurate take. And let's just hope that we're in the position that we think we're going to be, that we can see what that next step is going to be as we get to the trade deadline. Your thoughts, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely valid. There are some teams that have made some improvements in the starting rotation. There are some teams that have made improvements in their closer, some that have made improvements in their bullpen. One team now has a bullpen of just closers, to just give you like an idea. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just pointing out facts. The odds of our bullpen and starting rotation not having at least one major injury where we're going to have to overcome it, excluding the fact that Bayo and Crawford are still not here yet, is high. There's 162 games in a season. Someone's going to get injured. 2 people are going to get injured. How long those injuries are going to be, I have no idea. On top of that, you're totally right. If you want to be a World Series contender, you can't have Liam Hendricks out there pitching the way he did in spring training. That's unacceptable. And while Chapman didn't, walk the bus, he still did really well. How long is that going to last? I'm hoping he can give it to us all season long. I don't know. We should not be leaning on Garrett Whitlock to be pitching 2 innings every other day or every third day. I don't want to see that. I want to see him do an inning, day off, an inning, day off, an inning, just like a regular closer would. And if you want to empty the tank, go for it. Go nuts. I don't want to see him pitching 2 innings on a regular basis. I think that's going to drive me nuts. Criswell in the bullpen does offer a little bit of security since we've seen him start. But yeah, I think you're probably going to need a bullpen arm. And we just talked about Ryan Helsley on a prior episode. If we were to get a little boost by making an addition with him in there, either making him the 8th inning guy or the closer and moving Whitlock to becoming an 8th inning guy, Garrett Whitlock could be one of the best 8th inning guys in baseball, if that were the case, to boost the team by getting an elite level closer that maybe just needs a change of scenery. Absolutely accurate take, Will Graham. We definitely need help if we're going to be trying to take on the best teams in the National League, which are the only teams that I think are better than the Boston Red Sox. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
If we did acquire a Helsley type guy, hopefully we would extend him.
100% agree. You have to extend him
around then.
Yeah. If you didn't extend him and get him, that just wouldn't make any sense, especially with the state of our bullpen long term.
Right. No. I absolutely agree. I think at that point, we shouldn't be doing these short-term rentals. We've given up prospects. I remember last year we gave up, I think, 4 prospects to the Angels for a reliever. What was it, Garcia?
Yeah.
He was awful.
Yep.
He was terrible. He was junk. And now he's with the Dodgers and he's crap there. He's just crap. So absolutely agree. If we're going to get Helsley, we're going to need to extend him. I wanted to see how many more years of control he has. He's a free agent after this year.
Yeah,
So there's
he would be a rental.
no, he would be a rental and that's it. So you would have to extend him. There's no more arbitration years to eat up. Um, that's going to move us into our third hot take. This comes to us from Bodybuilder Red Sox at Sox Pumps. The Red Sox are the third best team in baseball behind the Phillies and the Dodgers. Thank you, Sox Pumps. I would challenge that. I would say that the Dodgers are better. The Phillies are better. The Giants are possibly better. The Padres and even let's see. You got the Padres, you got the Diamondbacks in there that could potentially be a surprise. They have an incredibly exciting core. So maybe the sixth best team in my eyes, because I do think that the Red Sox have the capability of being the best team in the American League. I think they can be better than Seattle, which a lot of people thought could be, maybe the better team in the American League. But yeah, I mean, that NL Central is so stacked. Four teams in that division have the ability of winning the World Series. The Giants can do it. The Dodgers probably will repeat because their team is so stupid stacked. So you got Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks is up there. Padres are in there. I'm going to go Phillies too. Phillies are also incredible. They have an incredible core. I don't know what's going on with the Braves. I was the only one on the pod to pick the Braves before the season started as the NL East winners, and they're 1-8. They're the worst team in baseball, which is absolutely insane. You know you're bad when you're doing worse than the Chicago White Sox. Not trying to throw shade, just facts. But yeah, so best team in the American League. I would agree with you if you had said that, but I would say that's a really hot take if you were to say that ends up being the truth. I think they're probably the sixth best team. Terry, want to weigh in?
Yeah, I was just going through all the teams right now. Honestly, I would put them fourth. I
Give me
would
your
put them
order. I'm
fourth.
curious. Who are the three? Dodgers, Phillies.
Phillies, Diamondbacks, all in the
So you
West,
don't.
all in the National League West.
Right. Well, Phillies are National League East.
Oh, I'm sorry, they are. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
My
So
bad. You're
no,
right.
it's all good. Sorry, I'm not trying to correct you. So you got Dodgers, Phillies, and then who was the third team you said?
Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. So you don't think that the Padres and the Giants are better?
No, I mean maybe this very second they could be, but as the season plays out and maybe even the next 4 to 6 weeks, I think the Red Sox will emerge as a better team than those two. The both of them teams are fine. I mean, they're solid in the rotation, they're solid in the lineup, bullpen. I don't think either team is spectacular. Maybe the Padres do have a very good offense, I'll say, but their rotation doesn't blow me away. Their bullpen. I think the Red Sox are built a little bit better and they're more of a powerhouse. And I think certainly they have a better offense than any of the teams outside of the three I have above them. So, and
For
I think
sure.
the ceiling could be so much higher too. I think we could be the second best team in baseball, by mid to late
Bold
summer.
statements. Terry
I'm
Cushman.
I'm
Wow.
just saying.
Yeah,
I think it's
pinching
that
hot.
good. We need Walker Bueller to turn it around. That would be a big help, and we need that bullpen addressed as we did with the previous hot take. But man, this team's explosive, and we're tied with the Texas Rangers right now in all of Major League Baseball for stolen bases. Like we can win games a lot of ways here, and our bench is just so good. I mean, Ref Snyder, Romy. I was just thinking, like, you had Duran up, he's kind of slumping. You've got Casas, hasn't really taken off yet. He's the one guy we're still waiting for, and they brought Romy in to pinch hit. Who would you rather have? A talented but slumping veteran, or the guy whose career is on the line? in a big spot? The veteran that's slumping or the guy whose career is on the line? Because right now, the latter scenario is working out very well.
Is that who you'd want?
Right now, I late in that game today, in the first game, I wanted Romy instead of Casas. You better believe it.
Interesting. I mean, Casas, I mean, literally, he was blue all around the zone. He had one spot that he had gotten contact. Everywhere else, which is like, again, that reason when in the 10th inning you walked him, I'm like, why? I mean, if you have any faith in your pitcher, let him challenge him. He's 0 for the game. He hasn't done anything. But I mean, Romy also, did you see that throw in the third game? That second game of that doubleheader?
Which
Wasn't
throw
that
was it?
Romy's error? Wasn't that Romy's error in the ninth
Oh,
inning?
yeah, I
Unless I
know you
completely
already.
missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
just
I know what you're
sailed
talking
it.
about. Yeah.
Casas, I don't remember Casas. I mean, granted, he's at first base, but I don't ever remember Casas doing it. And Casas had what would have been probably a home run that got
Yeah.
ripped back by Jordan Walker. So I still think I would take Casas, even though he's struggling right now, over Romy. Because Romy's
Romy
kind
also
of
had
like
that base running blunder in the second game, or the first game of the doubleheader.
of the doubleheader. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw everything one inning after my dad, who, thanks, Dad. Dad ruined the results of the first game of the doubleheader. I was on the phone with Terry just telling him about that. Like, side note, just told my dad, I was like, wow, what a game. He goes, yeah, great. Come from behind win, or no, he said walk off. I'm like, Dad, I'm talking about the ninth inning. I'm not in the 10th inning yet. I'm an inning behind. But yeah, so shout out, Dad. Thanks. Love you. But yeah, I mean, good times. Good times. I don't know if I should be shocked, Terry, that you'd rather have Romeo over Tristan. I know you're not a Tristan guy, but a little surprised.
Well, I might not think that in June when Casas is like slaying it, but today I 1000% wanted Romy Gonzalez to take that at bat.
Yeah. I'm not a
Good to
big
know.
Casas guy. Even when he is slaying it, there's just something about him that just, I don't know what it is, rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to be the Goldilocks here between the two of you of where you think we are as a team versus the rest of Major League Baseball. I'm going to just look at it very simple. Like, where do I think we are going to be against these teams at the end of the season? I'm going to look at all the teams that are ahead of us right now. So, like San Francisco, I'm not buying them. I think we're a better team than them. I think we will be a better team by season's end. Dodgers, I don't think any of us have to even argue that. They are the best team in baseball. I expect them to be the best team in baseball. The Rangers is an interesting one. I actually think that they're going to be the biggest challenge that we have. They're in the Central. I don't see much of a challenge for them. They've got a good rotation, and they've got great situational hitting, which we saw obviously in the first series. The Padres, that one's like a wash for me. I think that we would have a better chance against them because I think they're going to have a much more grueling schedule through 162 in that division than we will. So I think they're going to be a little bit worn down, and they're so used to being runner-up when it comes to the Dodgers. The Phillies, I think on paper the Phillies are a better team than we are, but the Phillies for me are very similar to like the Oilers in hockey. Like on paper, they're one of the best teams. They just don't get it done when it actually matters. If we were in the World Series with the Phillies, I would like our chances. The Yankees technically have a better record. I expect to be better than the Yankees with their injuries right now for the season. Obviously, the Angels, I'm not even going to entertain that. The Mets, I just think because of pitching, we are a better team than they are. So by my account there, I think we were somewhere between the third and fourth. So it's right in between you two.
Yeah, I think that injuries are going to happen to most teams. And to Terry's point, like the Giants, if they do lose one or two of their guys, like depending on which guys they lose, that could be bad. Arizona, I think there's no path for them to go without Corbin Carroll or Corbin Burns, like the Corbins. You need the Corbins to be 100%. Otherwise, you're just not going to get it. That's it. And Corbin Carroll needs to rebound from whatever he did last year. And so far, I mean, I don't know, Terry, who has him in our fantasy league, but whoever has Corbin Carroll, I think it might be Max, dude. I mean, he had a great first week of the season. So hopefully he can, continue to do that because good Lord, if he can't, I think that team could potentially be cooked again.
Arizona's just in the wrong division. If they were in the Central,
They're all in the wrong division.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
if you're in the
know.
same division as the Dodgers, you're getting smoked.
But they're like really like because the thing is like the Padres on paper can somewhat match the Dodgers to some degree, right? I know they're not as good, but if Arizona was in the Central, I feel like we would feel a little bit differently about them. Yeah, the Cubs are off to a 7-5 start, but everyone else is kind of lukewarm to mediocre in that division over 162 games. I could see Arizona really challenging the Cubs over 162 games if they were healthy.
Right. I really genuinely don't think that there's anyone that can touch that can hold the candle to the Dodgers. I was talking about this with my wife, and I was just saying, listen, for your team, because you're a Dodgers fan, she's always been one. What they should do, depending on how the Dodgers do, just put the best team you can together against the Dodgers and just see what happens in the best of 7 series. Because no team in the American League is going to beat the Dodgers. Very few teams in the National League are going to be able to beat them in a 7-game series. 3-game series, sure, that could happen. 7, I don't see it happening. Anything else you just want to add? That's it for Hot Takes, y'all. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great night.